Hello viewers, welcome to Big Man Business YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the top import and export commodities of Singapore. An island country and sovereign city-state in Southeast Asia, the Republic of Singapore shipped $374.2 billion worth of goods around the globe in 2020. That dollar amount reflects a 13.4% increase since 2016 but a minus 4.1% decline from 2019 to 2020. If you're new to the Big Man Business YouTube channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell to receive updates on new business expert videos. For more international business news and updates, please visit www.bigmanbusiness.com. Singapore's top 10 exports. Based on the average exchange rate for 2020, the Singapore dollar appreciated by 0.1% against the US dollar since 2016 but declined by minus 1.1% from 2019 to 2020. Singapore's weaker local currency since 2019 makes its exports paid for in stronger US dollars relatively less expensive for international buyers during 2020. The latest available country-specific data shows that 77.9% of products exported from Singapore were bought by importers in China with 13.8% of the global total, Hong Kong with 12.4%, the United States with 10.7%, Malaysia with 8.9%, Indonesia with 5.7%, Taiwan with 4.9%, Japan with 4.8%, South Korea with 4.5%, Thailand with 3.8%, Vietnam with 3.3%, the Netherlands with 2.7%, and India with 2.5%. From a continental perspective, 71.0% of Singapore exports by value were delivered to Asian countries while 11.4% were sold to North American importers. Singapore shipped another 10.6% worth of goods to Europe. Smaller percentages went to Oceania led by Australia Marshall Islands, and New Zealand got 3.9%, Latin America excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean got 1.7%, then Africa got 1.3%. Given Singapore's population of 5.77 million people, its total $374.2 billion in 2020 exports translates to a formidable $64,900 for every resident in the export-dependent nation. The following export product groups represent the highest dollar value in Singaporean global shipments during 2020. Also shown is the percentage share each export category represents in terms of overall exports from Singapore. Electrical machinery, equipment with $132.2 billion accounts for 35.3% of total exports. Machinery including computers with $58.2 billion accounts for 15.5%. Mineral fuels including oil with $30.3 billion account for 8.1%. Optical, technical, medical apparatus with $20.8 billion account for 5.6%. Gems, precious metals with $20.3 billion accounts for 5.4%. Plastics, plastic articles with $12.9 billion accounts for 3.5%. Organic chemicals with $11.4 billion account for 3%. Perfumes, cosmetics with $9.6 billion account for 2.6%. Pharmaceuticals with $8.9 billion account for 2.4%. Miscellaneous food preparations with $6 billion account for 1.6%. Singapore's top 10 exports represent 83% of the overall value of its global shipments. Gems and precious metals were the fastest growers among the top 10 export categories, up by 14.5% from 2019 to 2020, propelled by higher international revenues of gold. In second place for improving export sales were miscellaneous food preparations via 11.5% gain. Singapore's shipments of pharmaceuticals posted the third fastest gain in value, up by 10%. The leading decliner among Singapore's top 10 export categories was mineral fuels including oil, thanks to a minus 36.7% drop year-over-year. Singapore's top 10 imports. Singapore imported $329.1 billion worth of goods from around the globe in 2020, up 16.3% since 2016 but down by -8.3% from 2019 to 2020. Based on the average exchange rate for 2020, the Singapore dollar appreciated by 0.1% against the US dollar since 2016 but declined by -1.1% from 2019 to 2020. Singapore's weaker local currency since 2019 makes Singapore's imports paid for in stronger US dollars in 2020 relatively less expensive than in 2019 when converted starting from Singapore dollars. From a continental perspective, over two-thirds with 68.9% of Singapore's total imports by value in 2020 were bought from fellow Asian countries. European trade partners supplied 15.2% of Singapore's import purchases while 11.9% worth of goods originated from North America. Smaller percentages came from providers in Oceania with 1.8% led by Australia, then Africa with 1.2%, and Latin America with 1.1% excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean. Given Singapore's population of 5.8 million people, its total $329.1 billion in 2020 imports translates to roughly $57,000 in yearly product demand from every person in the strategically located Asian nation. The following product groups represent the highest dollar value in Singapore's import purchases during 2020. Also shown is the percentage share each product category represents in terms of overall imports into Singapore. Electrical machinery, equipment with $108.9 billion accounting for 33.1% of total imports. Machinery including computers with $52.9 billion accounts for 16.1%. Mineral fuels including oil with $49.2 billion account for 15%. Gems, precious metals account for $22.6 billion which is 6.9%. Optical, technical, medical apparatus is $12.8 billion which stands at 3.9%. Plastics, plastic articles is $7.2 billion which stands at 2.2%. Organic chemicals are $7.1 billion which stands at 2.2%. Aircraft, spacecraft accounts for $6.5 billion which is 2%. Perfumes, cosmetics accounts for $4.2 billion which is 1.3%. Other chemical goods account for $4.2 billion which are 1.3%. Singapore's top 10 imports represent more than 4/5 or 83.8% of the overall value of its product purchases from other countries. Imported gems and precious metals were the fastest growing top category thanks to its 19.7% year-over-year gain. The only other import categories to increase were electrical machinery and equipment via its 10.9% uptick and optical, technical, and medical apparatus up 3%. Leading the declining import categories were aircraft and spacecraft due to its -45.1% drop year-over-year. Singapore's top trading partners. Nicknamed the Fine Country, the Republic of Singapore is a Southeast Asian island strategically located near China, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Australia. Singapore exported $374.2 billion worth of goods around the globe in 2020. That dollar amount reflects a 13.4% increase since 2016 but a -4.1% decline from 2019 to 2020. Applying a continental lens, 71% of Singapore exports by value were delivered to Asian countries while 11.4% were sold to North American importers. Singapore shipped another 10.6% worth of goods to Europe. Smaller percentages went to Oceania led by Australia Marshall Islands, and New Zealand which is 3.9%, Latin America excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean with 1.7%, then Africa with 1.3%. Singapore's top trading partners, these are countries that imported the most Singaporean export shipments by dollar value during 2020. Also shown is each import country's percentage of total Singaporean exports. China with $51.5 billion representing 13.8% of Singapore's total exports. Hong Kong with $46.2 billion representing 12.4%. United States with $40.2 billion representing 10.7%. Malaysia with $33.3 billion representing 8.9%. Indonesia with $21.5 billion representing 5.7%. Taiwan with $18.3 billion representing 4.9%. Japan with $17.9 billion representing 4.8%. South Korea with $16.8 billion representing 4.5%. Thailand with $14.1 billion representing 3.8%. Vietnam with $12.5 billion representing 3.3%. Netherlands with $10.2 billion representing 2.7%. India with $9.2 billion representing 2.5%. Australia with $8.6 billion representing 2.3%. The Philippines with $7.4 billion representing 2%. Germany with $5.6 billion representing 1.5%. Over 4/5 or 83.7% of Singaporean exports in 2020 were delivered to the above 15 trade partners. Among the above top importers that increased their purchases from Singapore the most from 2019 to 2020, the Netherlands was in the first place up by 18.9%. In second place was the United States up by 16.8%, trailed by Taiwan up by 11.3% and South Korea by up 10.3%. Leading the decliners were importers in Australia down by -24.2%, Indonesia down by -21.6%, India down by -19.4%, Malaysia down by -19%, and the Philippines down by -12.7%. Thanks for watching this video. We are open to suggestions. Kindly drop your comments in the comment box and don't forget to subscribe to the Big Man Business YouTube channel. See you in the next video.